Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 2nd of June. So, decisions then. Are they going to increase the interest rates or are they not? There's a real sort of swing. This week has been really swingy. One minute there was a 70% priced in probability that the Fed will increase the rates on 16th of June. Next minute, a day or two later, after Jeffries spoke, etc., we're sitting down there at a 25% chance. Now, of course, we've got non-farm payrolls out this afternoon, and that could be a partial deciding factor. It's hard data. If we see the jobs improving and inflation on wages, that could well see the swing back towards the chances of an interest rate increase. So it's an odd one, but the market's been working quite quickly. I say quickly, but cleanly is the word. Once they've moved, they switched around somewhat yesterday. A lot of these markets, but we'll see what develops from them. Right, before we let's just have a look. We've got non-farm payrolls, of course, this morning. Let's just bring up the jobs, today's list. I say the jobs. There you go. That's it. It's just non-farm payrolls. I thought there was more than that today, but that's all the good is there. Yep, that's all right. Just checking. I've got some European holiday data on there to make sure it's not just filtered down to the US. So there you go. They're key figures in order of importance there. So the average earnings forecast was 0.3. Previous 0.5, so there's expectation that's going to come off a little bit if that pushes up, and we get a higher employment change. If that pushes up, that's inflationary, and that puts more pressure back to we'll swing it around. Now, if these figures come in poorly, we could just see a continuation of these current moves. So let's have a look at the current moves in the currencies first. Euro dollar, the biggie, if you like. It's yesterday it was looking all good at one stage, and I did take a short on it, and it looks all really good for a continuation of this lovely move that we've been in. But unfortunately, things changed. Come 10 o'clock, it all swung, and so, 10 o'clock really, it just swung around properly, and put this accelerated move in. Now, consolidated round here, sort of untouched daily pivot. If anything soft comes out, well, that would be a target for sure, with 75% chance being hit. But where it sits at the moment, it's really quite ugly. A push on through its R1 would give us the chance to the R2 if this is not hit, but I get a feeling we may end up with a bit of a consolidated morning. It's anyone's guess where this is going to go, but at the moment, but it has given us a higher low. Structurally, it's changed the 4-hour picture. It hasn't really changed too much here on the dailies, but it's that the underlying which is really showing us what's going on. Now we're almost back to the quarterly pivot, which is not, yeah, it's showing there. There you go, near enough back to that quarterly pivot. So I should watch that carefully. We might get a reaction off that. So there you go. Bit indecisive really for the markets itself. The pound, well, that just took advantage of the moves, its strength that it's already been showing. It's just a bit more solid. The others, I keep talking about my pivotal area here. Well, it's closed well above that now. It's certainly looking better at the moment. Into its weekly R2. Bit of divergence off the shorter time frames, no doubt coming through here with this move, and an untouched daily pivot. Maybe if we was to see anything moving quickly below the 125.19 area this morning, there's a near-term target for it to run to. It could also possibly be a reasonable buying area. I would look, and depend on how quickly it happens. Of course, the nearer we get to non-farm payrolls, the less interest I really have for jumping into these markets. Anyway, as the pound for now, dollar yen continued its little retracement here. It's lower highs, lower lows. It's still in the arguably in this bigger scheme of things in this bull flag, but really, well, this all could change this afternoon. But at the moment, structurally, it's changing. It's looking like it's changing. Certainly on the hourly time frame, lower highs, lower lows, horrible spiky action amongst it all. This you've got to be wary of. As soon as you see this in the market, if you're going to be trading it, because it looks almost quite nice. Well, I say almost, it looks quite nice where it's sitting at the moment, just the underside of the pivot, everything sort of quite smart, but could be on for down towards the S1. However, what's stopping it giving us one of these horrible spiky things? So you can't. I mean, just putting the stop above the highs here, which would be normal with some markets, isn't really the place on the dollar yen. So you've got to consider placements of that carefully, and it can be a bit twitchy, and certainly we'll catch one of the bigger moves generally this afternoon when we get the non-farms out one way or t'other. It is the second most traded currency in terms of volume when the non-farms come out after the euro dollar. Right, the Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar's changed shape here. It's spoilt my my downside expectations here at the moment, and it's come back within its range there. Now, is it going to come back to its pivotal area up here that I've drawn on key levels? We'll see. But for now, it's changed again, and I can't be shorting this. It's a shame. It was perfect. It was all looking good. It was in some profit, and then it's turned and closed the position out eventually. So that's the way it goes. Nice trend, everything perfect, but just a bit of exhaustion maybe. I'm sure there'll be oversold signals somewhere, but either way, I'm looking at this purely technically and was looking for a bigger correction. Now this could all turn back again, but I've got no interest in it at the moment. The way it is, the shape of it, higher lows coming through here. I'd probably need to leave it till Monday before I traded that again. So that is off the list. US dollar CAD. Now this time, along with I know at least one person yesterday jumped aboard this as it broke through its quarterly, or was around its quarterly pivot. I just waited for the breakdown of the quarterly here yesterday. Gave us a lower high. It was threatening, and it's in this range, which is quite key. Pointed this out yesterday. The low high, low high. Well, it triggered things. Now I just waited patiently to see if it broke the quarterly pivot, which it did. That's running quite sweetly at the moment, but looking at it on this weekly basis in pivotal terms, it's already hit the S1, just finding maybe a bit of support off the S2 prior lows there. So you just got to watch this carefully, but just left it alone at this stage. But might do some action, look at some action if we get close to non-farms in terms of tightening the stop down. At the moment I've got mine at break even, but I might just tighten it up a little bit. Would still like to go for it to go all the way down here. Now this is a big ask on a weekly basis to see the S3 here, but it's non-farm day. Looking at the shorter time frames, nothing I can get into right now. It's just it's a bit behind. There'll be some divergence running across the lows here. There we go, both on the MACD and the RSI, so divergence is sitting there. So those traders will start trying to push in there. Now again though, if it does, from a daily perspective, just looking at this, if it does break through that S1 before coming up to the pivot, well, the S2 is a good shot. Okay, New Zealand dollar. I looked at this the other day and I thought should have traded that, and this is in the same sort of, well, it's in a daily channel, heading southbound at the moment, and it's not really oh sorry, that's not New Zealand dollar at all. I thought, hang on a minute, that looks exactly the same as, there we go, that's better. Now New Zealand dollar, start again. God, this trading view doesn't switch things very quickly sometimes. Anyway, that's my excuse. It's pushed back up there to the underside of the trend line at the moment, but this too, if it's following the Aussie dollar could easily push back into the sort of in that range. Now I'm just looking, if nothing else, there is a weekly pivot that's just above here, and that could be a sort of point where it gets a reversal on. So we'll be watching that in terms of the action there. In fact, I will at some stage, in fact I'll do it now, is just put the little notification on, so I get a notification. Now I don't sell directly, it hits this level. I'm not wanting to be first in. I'll wait and see if it reverses, but of course I would rather, if it doesn't do it first thing in the morning, and start moving, and in which case I would be tightening this, keeping a relatively tight trailing stop behind it. If it doesn't happen this morning, I'll leave it until after the news, in which case it could get all messed up, but that's trading non-farms, you've got to be careful. Euro yen, it's bouncing off its 34 moving average. What a beautiful moving average to use. Structurally it's sort of changed shape here, and it's looking like, well, it completely, I mean there is still the sort of bull flag, but it's just, it got a bit too long. It's almost draping on the floor, the flag. Bounce though off that 34, daily 34, and it's sort of there, isn't it? It's today's pivot. I mean, if I looked at different feeds there, it might have actually bounced off of today's pivot. It looks like it's prior highs here. You see the prior highs around this area. If it can push above that, maybe that's got a way to go as well. Other pairs, we were looking at euro pound earlier on. Really look at this off the bigger time frames, because this is the best place to be trading it from. You get these sort of moves here, consolidation, and as I was saying earlier, when it does go, it goes, and sure enough this went all the way down to its S2. Nothing for me to do at the moment. Again, it's one of those that's sort of moved. Structurally it's having a bit of a battle here. It's put lower highs, lower lows on the hourlies. It's now put this little higher low in. Now it's a battle, and it could just chop sideways, so leading into the news. Other pairs I like then, Euro CAD. Let's go to the bigger time frame on this. This has been moving quite nicely, a strong CAD. It's a bit slower on the lower time frames here. It broke down there yesterday, eventually there at 4 o'clock. Don't know what happened to my alerts. It's broke both ways yesterday actually. You sort of look at it Thursday, yeah, earlier in the morning there, pushed on upwards, and then only to swing around and eventually break the downside. This is where you get the fake out sort of moves of these wedges and rising channels and flags and things like this. Just get a fake out, but go with the direction is my advice, but wait for it to go. Of course, but I missed that one personally. It's moving quite nicely, or has moved quite nicely. It's in a bit of no man's land where it sits at the moment, so patience. Other pairs, Aussie New Zealand briefly. I think this is looking at, this is carried on pushing through for now. I'm really looking, I was looking for this to be on the short side in this original structure, but it's messed things up here now, and starting to look for now like it's got more upside, so steer clear of that for now. Right, I think mostly it's a case of waiting for later, but if something does rear its head, I'll be on it. Looking at other markets, gold. So no surprise there's slight softening in the US dollar, and we saw gold catching a bit more of a bounce. It really does just follow the markets. Bigger scheme of things, it's still arguably in this bull flag, but you'd be looking at putting the trend, drawing the trend below the lows there, and we could see more action kicking through. That's gold at the moment. The more well, so again, wait for non-farm payrolls there. So oil saw a biggish move there yesterday eventually. Now when we see a weaker dollar, commodity prices move with them, with it, and that's the result of a weaker dollar basically, as much as anything else. shot up there again yesterday afternoon, was the biggest move of there. It's doing all the right things earlier on, breaking the trend line I'd drawn on there perfectly, but fortunately didn't get into a short on that. When I look at it, it was a lovely wedge as well, but that it faked to the bottom, and well, just the way the news has driven things, the bullishness that's coming through there now spoil things. Going across the equity markets, looking at the CSI 300, well, there's some cheer out there this morning as we get a bit of a bounce here. It's still in a bearish market. The Nikkei, this is always, it's not really gone too far away from, well, it's remained bullish all of the time here and still looking solid and pushing up. Good day up again. And the Nikkei, well, consolidation around here, but to me it's still a bullish market. It's not done anything there to take away the drift there. The Aussie 200 still sitting largely towards the bearish side of things. I mean, it's done this little bearish orami after today's or last night's trading, Asian session trading. It's not looking great from that point of view, but it's still largely in a downward trend. The US markets, the S&Ps, still, well, it's still drifting its way up there, and we know the big money's drifting its way into it. Now it's sitting around these highs here at the moment. This non-farm payrolls will have quite a big, or could have a potential big movement on it here, even if it's just a relief of if the figures come out bad on the non-farms. We could see this rally a little bit more as traders expect that there'll be a pause within the interest rate increases for the Feds, or by the Feds. Dow Jones, still don't really like this too much. It's still, this is another one of these markets still drifting to the downside. Yes, yesterday ended up putting a bullish engulfing in is a key reversal bar. Let's just see if that materializes. Again, we've got to wait for the non-farms on these. I wouldn't like to try to do too much before that. Nasdaq, the pretty one still continues. The DAX, that turned around yesterday afternoon, having seen the sell-off through. Actually, it never really came off from the underside of its pivot, did it? It just caught the pivot yesterday and pushed on through. So and didn't even make its R1 either at that time, but still a whippy old market intraday at times. Again, the afternoon session there really helped things. It didn't break one way or the other yesterday morning in the end. Right, more positiveness there. Maybe that will follow through today. We're actually into the R1. The R2's not out of reach if we, as we haven't hit the daily pivot. Got a reasonable probability. The FTSE to me still a bit bearish in its near term. Yes, it's had a reasonable day yesterday and it's pitching up a little bit now, and yeah, for the long-term swing trade of this I would be waiting for longer yet before I was looking at any long side. To me it's still shaped up on the downside. Right, that's that. Let's have a quick look at the crypto markets. Sorry, a bit look at Bitcoin first. So Bitcoin yesterday couldn't take advantage of that weak US dollar. It sold off, which is not the best of things. It's had a little bounce this morning, but when you see a market that's not taking advantage, you know, even the equity markets, the likes of the Dow Jones, had a bullish engulfing yesterday. This did nothing. It sold off. That's not a good sign. To me, it's just a sign of weakness. The same goes with Ethereum. Okay, this morning, well, perhaps they're lagging, and we'll see a bit more movement today. And again, it may be just sitting there waiting for the non-farms, because we're seeing much more reaction, normal reaction into these crypto markets, as we are in any other market now. They've just normalized. It's just like another currency for a lot of them. But more dangerous, significantly more dangerous. So Chainlink again yesterday sold off. Litecoin normally is the better one, and yep, that did catch the bid yesterday and has pushed up there. Much more positive there. Could be Litecoin could be the one that if you're going to be betting on the upside that we'll get some decent movements. And finally, Ripple, again, sold off yesterday. Not necessarily good news. I know there's underlying stuff going on in the world of cryptos and stuff like this, but there's lots of chatter about Binance losing part of its market shares and all sorts of stuff going in. But either way, the coins themselves just didn't performing particularly well. Ripple has been doing okay in terms of the price action, and to be fair, it's consolidated towards the higher side, and maybe over the weekend when the lighter volumes are there, no one else has got anything else to do, that could rally some more. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for me today. I wish you a great day's trading. Trade carefully out there. It's as I say, non-farms, you've got to be a bit careful. Catch you in the morning. Well, I won't catch you in the morning at all. I'll catch you on Monday, and it's disappointing there's no bank holiday. Anyway, catch you Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye for now. There we go.